Dayton Aviation Services instructors, take a knee. Let's talk about your responsibilities. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the navigating and operating within the Dayton Aviation Services procedures, talk about structure and the responsibilities, the checkouts that you'll be required to complete, your currency as a CFI, just some things that actually work for both of us, and your responsibilities as associations with TSA. Our organization is set up where I, as the boss man, as executive director, working for me are three different departments. The director of operations is the DO, training is under the director of training, and maintenance, MX, is under the director of maintenance. You can probably see a trend there. Let's talk about operations. They are responsible for airplanes and adherence of procedures. They are the direct connection to pilots. They're the first face that they see. They're responsible for the airplanes. They also will create opportunities for DAS. It's a fancy way of saying that they do the marketing, and then they'll make sure that they funnel the pilots to the training department. Maintenance, we want the airplanes to work, obviously, but they're also responsible for not only repairs and maintenance, but they also ensure that aircraft are airworthy and that the documentation for that is complete. We actually have to have a maintenance inspection as part of our 141 certification. They also will track the inspection cycles, which is then posted, of course, in the schoolhouse, although that is maintained by the director of operations or their deputy. So this brings us to you, which is the training. You are a part of the training department, headed by the director of training. The chief instructor reports directly to the DT. Right now, I have to do the same person. They are assisted by an assistant chief instructor. Stage check instructors report directly, and then instructors, and below you are pilots. I use pilots in a generic term because you're working with more than just students. You are an instructor then for all pilots. You are the first line of airworthiness and safety, and you create opportunities for Dayton Aviation through your actions or even just out in the world of being able to sell yourself as an instructor. Our mission as DAS instructors is to provide our pilots with planned, measurable, and professional instruction. It is our intent to be able to do that to ensure more professional service. DAS training is increasing pilot support and raising our qualification standards. It is our intent that through preparation, communication, and consistency, our instructors will exemplify and protect the principles of safe aviation for our pilots. My expectations and your responsibilities are that you'll be professional. Remember that you are representing Dayton Aviation Services and Moraine, not only at the airfield but away, and that you will protect the airplanes and model the publications. Emphasize to protect the airplanes. If an airplane is broken, you can't fly it, you're not making money. Your duties as a CFI is to maintain your Dayton Aviation Service currency, to give pilot checkouts, to train, to maintain your FAA instructor currency. We're going to talk about that, how that helps and works, and then also, again, your requirements under TSA with Dayton Aviation Services. You as a CFI are required to have a checkout. It is an annual requirement. You will, of course, be taking all the same exams that the pilots do because you have to grade them. You may as well prove that you know what you are teaching, but you also will have an additional CFI written exam. Your annual flight check will be in the most complex aircraft that you're assigned off on, and it will be with the chief or assistant chief instructor. This is not just a DAS requirement. We're talking about a 141 requirement here. But we do it for all instructors. You will be required then to be able to give the checkouts for renters and pilots. It is also an annual requirement for all renters. The initial paperwork and tests and everything required for Flight Circle will be completed by operations. You're not expected to do that, but we will make sure you know what they're doing so you can double check that it's all there. This includes the one-time open and closed aircraft exam, which you'll have completed, the annual standardization local area exam, and just keep in mind with that one that students are waived from that requirement because they're going to have the pre-solo test. It covers the same thing. All of these tests, by the way, do have an answer sheet, which is a separate form. These tests are also all multiple guess. Once the paperwork is done, then you get to go fly. You have another form with that one, which lists all the required maneuvers that you will be expected to grade for a renter pilot, plus any others that you want to do. You will enter that documentation, including the answer sheets and the Form 131, into Flight Circle, upload it into the folder for that particular pilot. We will be adding an IFR element to this, but we haven't completed that as of this quarter. So just a quick rundown on what happens. A new pilot comes in, the onboarding is completed by operations, and then they will complete all the exams necessary. They'll be able to bring those in to you the day of their checkout flight. You'll grade those and make sure that you bring it up to 100%. If they get an 80% or if they get below an 80%, they have to retake those tests. You'll also proctor the closed book test. It should only take a few minutes. It's just some emergency procedures that memorization and V-speeds. You'll complete the flight check. All the paperwork is uploaded into Flight Circle, and the pilot's account is updated that they are checked out in those airplanes. And you will set the expiration date for that for 1 year from the date of the flight. They will receive a warning actually a month before then to let them know, hey, your checkout is expiring, so that they can come back and say, hey, we're ready to go. These checkouts can be counted as their biannual flight review. So there is incentive of a way to be able to kill two birds with one stone. For student pilots, we expect you to have every lesson will have at least a half hour of PPI or ground time. You will do a pre-brief on all flights, both ground pre-brief and a flight one. Use the safety cards that are in every airplane. Use the pre-brief outline that is in the instructor standardization guide. And you will use the 2024, that's very important, 2024 Jeppesen Private Pilot Syllabus. We have copies available. You can order them online if you'd like, but also the entire syllabus is in the training folder for Flight Circle, which we have here. Every lesson will be graded in the students folder. Stage checks are required for all students, whether they're Part 61 or Part 141, and those will be completed by myself or the chief instructor or a stage check airman. There is an oral portion to that, and all the questions that we will be using that are jumping off from the private pilot syllabus. They're actually in there. And every lesson will be documented both in the training folder and in a separate tracking form that that the student is able to keep in their physical folder, so we know what's going on. So again, briefly, the new student comes in, they enroll with ops. You don't have to do any of the enrollment process. They'll begin training with you. Before they're solo, obviously they have to have the pre-solo test, but there's also a separate airplane exam through us at Dayton Aviation, including the closed test. That is a one-time only. They won't have to do that ever again with us. All the paperwork is uploaded into Flight Circle. The expiration date for their sign-off for the aircraft, not a year, it's for 90 days, just like it's their endorsement in their logbook. Before cross countries, they also have to complete or pass their knowledge test with the FAA, or, by the way, we have one that we can proctor if they haven't done the FAA knowledge test yet. And then all lessons are graded and all stage checks must be passed. You, as a CFI, obviously under the new rules, have to have currency rather than having to do the FERC. One of the ways that we may maintain currency, and where you don't even have to take the FERC or put money out, and that works very well with us, is that Part V, Paragraph V, excuse me, under 61.187. It's the FAA Wings program. What that allows for is if you complete a Wings set within 12 months prior to your currency expiring, and then during that time, you also work with at least 5 pilots and give them logbook endorsements and completion of FAA requirements across 15, up at least 15 different lessons, and it can be multiple lessons with different pilots within the wings. You can use that to regain your currency. So, as I said, that works well with us because we will be pushing for our pilots to do wings. One of the easiest on that, just as an example, is a flight review. If they complete a portion of the FAA wings, so that you don't have to do the ground portion of the flight review, you do the flight and give them the logbook endorsement. You then can also give them the FAA wings credit for that. They get like 3 or 4 credits, flight credits, and you are able to say you gave at least one of those 15 sign-offs that you need for currency. TSA, every CFI, you have to actually now create an account with the Flight Training Safety something, the FTS. You must register with them. You see the website. Open an account. You don't have to actually use it from that point on. Operations will interface with any foreign students that we might have. So again, you don't have to worry about that. You don't need to tell them how they need to do it. They will not need to list you as the pilot that they're doing training with. They will do it as with the school. That way, any student or any instructor can jump in without having to redo everything or have to be listed in the TSA dashboard. We also, as part of the onboarding process for new students with operations, we will do the endorsements because we'll do that in the logbook and in Flight Circle. So that's taken care of. So once again, any instructor can jump on, and then the student doesn't have to have 20 different TSA endorsements in their logbook. So that's one less thing that you have to be worried about. Support and administration then for the training department. Remember that the director of operations and their deputy will ensure that pilots are enrolled. You don't have to worry about that. Training will document flights with pilots, whether as a training sortie or renter and checkout. You will also coordinate with operations that all documentation and triggers are complete. Operations, if you have any admin or aircraft questions, they're the ones you're going to talk to. If you have a syllabus or training record, go to training. Hey, here's a life hack. Before you actually even go about that, ask a fellow CFI first, especially if as a new instructor for us. And of course, as always, read the dang manual because any questions you might have will probably be there first anyway. And then if you have any questions or problems with that one, come to us, come to operations, come to your chief instructor. We'll have the answer for you and help walk you through that if another CFI doesn't already have that. To be able to get a hold of us, of course, you can always text and phone directly. Go through the chain of command, though, so that the people who are working with you on a day-to-day basis can help you out quicker. We also maintain a CFI distribution thread that will text so that if it's a all-call kind of situation, but also with email. And we will be re-implementing the safety and CFI meetings on a regular basis so that we can disseminate information and have a in-group kind of question issues. Next lesson then is going to be talking more specifically and deep dive in Flight Circle, the training folder, and the grading that's required for that one, which also includes the brand new, with this new syllabus, competency-based training and assessment. And we'll talk about that in greater detail. If you have any questions, please contact me directly or operations or training. And this concludes this briefing.